everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to Bookish Blonde. So I finally have my April wrap up for everyone. I know it's like May 8th when this is going up, but I just didn't have time to film. But I had a really solid reading month. I read 8 titles. I read 1 historical fiction, 5 thrillers, 1 romance, and 1 that was fantasy / romance. I had 2 5 stars, 3 4 stars, 3 3 stars. Yes, that's 8. So I had 2 5 stars, 3 4 stars, and 3 3 stars this month. So we'll go ahead and get started with my 3 stars, and we'll end up on a strong high note with my 5 stars. So the first one I want to talk about is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedias of Fairies. I can see why a lot of people rate this higher than 3. For me, I just felt a little underwhelmed. We're following Emily Wilde. She is a Cambridge professor who is studying fairies to write an encyclopedia. And so she travels to this northern town, and the townspeople aren't very friendly to her, but she is very introverted, not a huge people person. So she kind of has a hard time adjusting as she's exploring the land and everything. And then one of her rivals from Cambridge, his name is Wendell Bamblebee. He shows up and he just charms all the townsfolk and everything, and so that's the kind of romance you're following a little bit in that book. And for me, I wanted more from the romance in here, so that's why I gave it a 3 star. I just felt a little underwhelmed. Yeah, I just wanted more from this, you guys, so I'm not sure, but don't let that deter you. If this sounds interesting to you or you've heard the hype, definitely, I think this is more of just a me opinion, because a lot of people love this one. So all right, the next 3 star is Like Mother Like Daughter, which I read on my Kindle, and that's by Kimberly McCreight. This one we're following Cleo. She's a New York University student. Her mother, Kate, who is a lawyer for a law firm, also this law firm's fixer, she goes missing. And so as Cleo starts working with her her dad to try to find out, where did mom go, is she alive, is she dead, what's going on, you kind of follow that storyline. Mom has kind of a secret part of her life that no one knows about. This is definitely an emotional suspense because I do like stories with mother and daughter relationships, but overall it was just 3. It was just okay for me. Next 3 star was Murder Road, and I listened to this on audio from my library. This was Simone St. James. Not a new favorite for me by her, but I definitely enjoyed it. I really enjoyed April and Eddie's characters. It takes place in 1995. They're newlyweds, and as they're driving down a road to go on their honeymoon, they pick up a hitchhiker who later dies, and so they're kind of questioned for her murder. Very creepy and unsettling. I was able to kind of guess the twist and how this story would end ultimately, but overall I still really enjoyed listening to it. The audiobook was good, so about 3.5 stars for me. Okay, let's move on to the 4 stars. So the first one is The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. Honestly, this one was 4.5. It was a pretty strong thriller. This one's been on my TBR forever, but we are following Sarah Morgan, who's a defense attorney, and she is best at what she does. She has a husband named Adam, who's the struggling writer, and he is secretly having an affair, and the lady that he's having an affair with turns up dead in their lake house, and he asks her to represent him. This book was very intriguing. It has kept me guessing. Definitely a unique twist on a domestic thriller. There was something missing to make it a 5 star for me though, and I really, since I've read it, I've been thinking about it, and I can't really put my finger on exactly what that is. I like the ending. It was really good. It was really good. I'm excited to pick up more by her because this was the first Geneva Rose I've read, so this one's a good one. Okay, so my first 5 star read of the month, highly recommend another romance by Rebecca Yarros. This is The Things We Leave Unfinished. In this one, there are 2 timelines. I enjoyed both equally. In one timeline, which takes place in World War II times, we have a very insta-lovey romance, but will we survive another day, will we die tomorrow kind of thing. And then in the present day, we have kind of an enemies to lovers, hate to love romance, and I love both of those tropes. So both timelines were equally intriguing, and I liked the way the pacing was set up, the flow in between the timelines was done really well. But yeah, so this one we're following Georgia Stanton, and her great-grandmother is a romance writer. And so Georgia goes through a brutal divorce, and she moves back home to take over her great-grandmother's estate. And everyone wants this last book that hasn't been published yet of her great-grandmother. But the only problem is it's not a finished book. So enter Noah Harrison. Oh, the present timeline takes place in Colorado, by the way. So we enter Noah Harrison, and he is a romance author, very prolific, huge backlist, and he really wants to finish this novel. So you kind of pick up as they are working together to finish this novel. There's, old letters found, secrets from the first timeline, the past timeline. That's all I'll really say, but just another 5-star romance. This was so good. Loved the ending. Loved how everything wrapped up. Pick this one up if you're in the mood for a good romance. All right, and then the last 5-star of the month, contender for possibly a favorite of the year for me. That is The Frozen River by Ariel Lahan. It's only the second book I've read by her. I did enjoy this more than The Wife, the Maid, the Mistress. This was so good. 5-10 stars. We're following Martha Ballard in this one, based on a true story, based on a real woman in history. It takes place in 1789 in Maine. And she is a midwife / healer in the town, and she gets called in to ask to examine a dead body that's found in the river. She decides this was a murder, and then enter a local physician who's he was a character that you couldn't help but hate, just very full of himself. And for the time period, right? No way a woman would be right over a man, that kind of thing. So he undermines her conclusion. He says death is ruled an accident. So she goes into an investigation on her own. That's all I'll say about that. But she keeps a diary that has every birth and death recorded. I really enjoyed the relationship between her and her husband. It was very sweet. This was definitely a tense and tender true story. The author's note at the end was great. It really explained to the reader what actually was fact and what was added on and blemished for the sake of this novel. But this educated me, it evoked emotion out of me, and everyone needs to read this book, please. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I think this would also be a really good one for a book club. So if you have a book club, this might be a great suggestion for you guys too. So that's all I have. That's all the books I read in April. I'm already on to my May reading and enjoying that so far. So thanks again for watching my video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Happy reading. Bye.